I used to be one of the people that thought that you couldn't be a programmer without like super math skills and the capabilities of doing math on the fly. That's why they didn't get into computer science, unfortunately. Now, it's not to say that I regret getting into IT and that it wouldn't help me, but honestly, I wish I would have done something different, gotten into computer science, gotten into, more direct learning right away, because, I mean, hell, I would have had 3 years of somewhat of experience, because I would have been doing it in class, out of class, and it is interesting to me. I've been looking at videos, I've been doing it myself, and it's amazing. I think it is. It's not easy because there's times when I don't know what the hell's going on, but there's a lot of resources out there, just like, literally anything else. In my current job, I could just Google what I don't know for a fact or to double check something, and that's kind of how programming is. Like, you could always double check your work. With a text editor, you have the added resource of double checking to make sure that everything's being done correctly, and it's a good way to make sure that everything's going smoothly while you're working, rather than having to wait or whatever. So it's pretty awesome to me. So finally got into it. The way people keep describing it to me when I keep asking for help or like some insight, I'm trying to build my network first off, because it's going to be important when I go look for a job in 6 months to a year, or however long it takes me to get a grasp on how it actually works. So I'm doing my research, getting my network. Started working with JavaScript. It's like anything else, I guess. It's interesting. I'm learning. If you don't have the patience for it, it's kind of gonna work against you, because not everybody enjoys learning. Not everybody enjoys going to school, whatever the case may be. It's a little bit different because you're working. Rather than going to school, you're kind of learning on your own. You're being self-taught, and so it's going to be different. But ultimately, I'm glad I'm doing it. I'm kind of like, I realize that what I'm doing now isn't going to be something that I want to do forever. And I'm only 7 months in, so like I know I could get into networking. I know I could do plenty of other things, but I feel like this gives me the most opportunities. If I'm gonna learn something, I wanna be able to do something that I'm gonna enjoy for the longest time. I'm gonna be constantly learning, because I like learning. But something that people keep telling me is, that it's hard. It's hard to be a programmer. It's hard to learn. It's hard to be in. It's hard to stay in. It's hard to find a job. And something that I've been working with, something that's been my motto for a long time, is nothing's hard. Nothing. It's not necessarily that nothing's hard. It's more like it's a learning curve. So like, I guess hard is relative and subjective. So if I've never done it before, obviously it's gonna be hard. But the way I like to look at it is, it's not hard. It's more time consuming than anything else. Because that way, like, if I say something's hard, it gives the implication that I'm incapable of doing it. But with all the resources that you have out there, nothing's impossible. You're not capable of doing anything, really. So with all the resources out there, with what I could do, with what I could learn, it's time consuming. So when I'm in JavaScript, when I'm programming, when I'm learning, it's time consuming. It's not hard. But eventually, when I'm doing more of it in 6 months or a year or whatever, so long as I keep at it, so long as I'm consistent, it's gonna be easy, or technically less time consuming, because again, it's all relative, it's all subjective. So um and it's I'm always gonna be learning. To say that it's gonna be easy or less time consuming in 6 months. See, it's that's why I say it's kind of difficult to be like, oh yeah, it's harder, it's easy, or I'm okay at it. There's it. The better measure is how time consuming it is to be doing it, how time consuming it is for you to be learning it. So anyway, my plan is to get into JavaScript, learn some CSS, learn some HTML, and then eventually get into C sharp. Just because, from my understanding, it's better to use C sharp or C plus plus, ultimately. So that'll be nice. Also want to get into SQL eventually. It's kind of like not the same thing, but I know people have been asked about SQL and SQL experience, even if they have nothing to do with it. So it's gonna be all a learning curve. My biggest concern is like going to school. I didn't learn as much as I could have, or that I felt I could have, but you know, I feel like I'd have more experience working at it. So I want to get to a point where I'm comfortable enough to be employed by somebody, so I'm not like literally wasting money, and then get a job and then learn far more. Doing that because I have a network and people around me as a junior developer. So get some experience. It'll be time consuming, but eventually, and this goes for anything. It's nothing is hard. It's more time consuming. So just like anything, it'll be less time consuming once I'm more experienced at it, and once I'm more comfortable with it. So I'll be looking at that here soon, within the next 6 months. So I've been definitely making slow and steady progress, coding. Just like anything else, it's repetition. So again, it's not hard per se. It's just time consuming. So did some coding last night. Can't remember, something codingcamp.org or something like that. So something that I was asking, and something I'm going to answer myself. I don't know a whole lot, but in my experience so far, when I asked like what resources are ideal to use for learning how to code, and that's literally just all of them. Obviously, there's going to be some bad ones, and it's hard to decipher like which one's going to be bad, which one's going to be good. But what I found is not all resources work for everybody. So, like, some people learn by watching videos, some people watch by watching certain people make videos, some people learn by reading books. There's plenty of books. Some people learn by actually doing the exercises. And that codingcamp.org, I think it's called again, really helps with that. And it's free, completely free. I'm not like saying this because, I benefit out of it, but ultimately, that's a resource that I found last night, and it kind of works like Code Academy, where it goes through the whole process of teaching you how to code by making you do it, explaining it to you. There's videos even, so it was really, really cool to find that. But ultimately, it's the first week. Give or take, I've done some, try to do some Code Academy and stuff. Previously, and I just lost interest for whatever reason. Same reason as always, making excuses, saying it's too hard for me. I'm not smart enough to do it. I don't understand the algorithms. I don't understand the concepts. It's just like anything, riding a bike, driving a car, learning the current job you're at. You have to learn it. You have to practice. You don't have somebody training you. You don't have somebody paying you to do this. So your pay, we're obsessed with instant gratification, instant pay, instant reward. So in this instance, it's going to take 6 months to a year, maybe longer, depending on your uh, learning capabilities. Some people learn, in more time than that. So just set your mind to it. If you enjoy it, go ahead. If you, I mean, realistically, let's face it, a lot of people are going to do it for the money, but you also have to do it for the enjoyment of actually doing it. Otherwise, you're not going to stick it out because you're not getting the instant gratification. So many people quit, myself included, because I'm like, I can make money instead of taking the time to teach myself how to do this. Or I could play video games, or I could watch movies or whatever. Like, get instant gratification, get instant enjoyment. Like anything else, it's not really going to be fun, but ultimately coding is going to be your life if that's what you want to do, and I'm willing to do that, especially for the reward that comes with it, for the prestige that comes with it. To me, there's nothing more satisfying than saying, I'm a programmer, I know how to program. So eventually I'll get to that point, and it'll be a lot of work, but it's not hard. It's time consuming.